Hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our nation's capital here in America, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and I'm so glad that you're here today. I will be joined by my amazing co-host, Sheila Applegate, in just a second. But let's talk about what we're going to be talking about today. We have a fantastic topic. But before we begin, I want to remind everybody, listen, you are part of this conversation. We want your questions, your comments, your thoughts. Just post them directly to our live feeds on YouTube and Facebook, and we will get you in on this conversation as well. Um, as I said before, we're going to be talking today about the corporate ladder and whether or not our own professional growth means climbing that ladder. I know that a lot of you are in situations where you're feeling kind of stagnant. You're feeling that you're not growing, and sometimes you tie it to the position or title or that kind of thing that where you work at your company. We're going to take that directly on this morning. But before we do that, I would love to invite you to watch this great clip from TED Women in London, where two beautiful women are talking about this very subject.
Ladders are limiting. They limit learning and they limit opportunity. And if organisations don't lose the ladder, they will lose their people. The people that are always adapting, that never stop learning, and who are open to the opportunities that come their way. 2020 disrupted the way that all of us work, and none of us know what will happen next. But one thing we can be confident about is that the ladder is a redundant concept of careers.
Losing the ladder starts with redefining our relationship with learning at work. We all now have the chance to curate our own curriculums, and we can be really creative about what that looks like. Whether it's the TED Talks that you're watching, the books and blogs you're reading, the podcasts you're listening to, your learning is personal to you, and the good news is your development is no longer dependent on other people.
Our learning can't be limited by the level we reach in an organisation, or only available to the fortunate few. It's not the responsibility of a single department, and it doesn't just happen when you go on a course. No one has a monopoly on wisdom. In squiggly careers, everybody is a learner and everybody is a teacher. We've been inspired by MVF, a global technology and marketing company who've introduced a program called Connected Learning. They blind match their employees so that people can learn from each other without barriers like what job they do or who they know getting in the way. Their CEO, Michael Teixeira, told us, everybody is in charge of their own learning here. We all learn from each other and with each other, and we're much better off as a result.
In squiggly careers, we need to change our perspective on progression. The problem with career ladders is that they only go in one direction, and you can only take one step at a time. If progression purely means promotion, we miss out on so many of the opportunities that are all around us. We need to stop asking only what job comes next and start asking, what career possibilities am I curious about?
Exploring our career possibilities increases our resilience. It gives us more options, and you create more connections. We see how we can use our strengths in new ways and spot the skills that might be useful for our future.
Wow. I wanted to make sure that I showed all of you that video this morning because it shows what the possibilities are and really brings home the notion that this climbing of the ladder is only one direction. And that's antithetical to who we are as just beings, as souls, as spirits. We have so many different things that we know and love, and there's so many different things that we can bring to the table. And sometimes when we define our professional growth by just climbing the ladder and moving from position to position in a steady line, we lose out on the exploration of all of who we are. And with that, I'm going to welcome Sheila Applegate. Hey, good morning, Sheila.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone.
um, Sheila, I know that this is actually something that you have actually gone through, where you changed careers
hmm
to move into a profession that really meant connecting who you are as a being with your passion and purpose and your career.
Right. Yeah. And it was pretty early on in my career that I made that move.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I hadn't chosen a climbing the ladder type of profession
Right,
anyway,
right,
because
right.
clinical therapy isn't really a raise yourself up to the top of the ladder. But yeah, I took that leap. Um, yeah, like 25 years ago now, I left the mainstream to be on my own. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've recreated myself in this space many times. I feel like I've already retired several times as I get
Mm-hmm.
a new passion. And it's all combined. But yeah, it's more of a cyclical climb up than a ladder for sure.
Yeah, in that video, and I'm gonna make sure that all of you have, that's in our chat. Um, they talk about the difference between a squiggly professional kind of growth, where it's all these squiggly lines kind of going all around, and the ladder, which is just step, 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 step. And
Right.
basically, they were saying that we should explore the squiggly path.
That I do, and I do well.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Where
very
where
squiggly.
yeah, where it's like, yeah, you think that it's not orderly and not progressive, and it doesn't take you anywhere, but that's not true. It's more about the feeling and the exploration of all of the dynamics that are within you, right? Because we're all
Mhm.
multidimensional. We're
Right.
both creative and analytical and intelligent and artsy, and I mean, all and fun, but also serious. I mean, all those different things are in us. And so
Mhm.
we can find ourselves in careers or in stages of our life where we think that that's all that there is. There's this great article, again, I'll be posting all this stuff to our chat, from the Washington Post, where they talk about 3 professional development tips that prioritize work life balance. And this is all around, moving beyond the ladder. And there's this, and this is the paragraph that I want to read for you guys, is the very first couple of paragraphs, that they talk about this one woman who is in this situation. And she says, when Sophie Johnson, an executive and career coach based in Northern Virginia, first meets a new client, she often finds them in some kind of professional distress. Many of them are stuck, Johnson said. They feel as though they're not growing. They know something is wrong. They're burdened by the feeling that they have too many choices or that they have none at all. Most of them are seeking some kind of professional growth, but the definition of that broad and ever evolving term varies by client. Even still, Johnson and others in the same field have noticed a trend in recent years. Professional growth is no longer defined mostly by the idea of getting ahead, earning a better title, or upping a salary. Instead, clients come to them seeking out more abstract prizes like autonomy, passion, and a sense of purpose, which is what Soulivity is all about.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I'm trying, do you think, Sheila, that before we get into like all the kind of processes and stuff like that, just from a higher level, I believe that this is in regards to us evolving as souls on the planet.
Absolutely. You know, thinking about this topic, I do get a lot of coaching clients
Hmm.
who are maybe from their 40s to their 60s, and they have been in a career path and reached a point where now they're like, okay, I've gotten success here, but where's my passion? What am I meant to do? What do I
Right.
really want to do? Or let's look at a different part of my life and see where I can be more fulfilled. And so I think it is a natural part of our evolution to realize we want more than just to climb the ladder and have outward success and financial wealth. I think there's an interesting aspect to this because the Gen Z generation,
Mhm.
the younger people coming up, they aren't waiting till their 50s to figure this out.
Right.
They're entering the
Right.
field with this in mind. So yeah, to me, that shows evolution, right? It's an individual evolution that we've been having for people to hit in their midlife, but now we're evolving to a point where we're not even going to begin that ladder as it used to be,
Mhm. Mhm.
which
Yeah,
is
I think that
exciting.
they yeah, they I think that they have um a completely different mindset about, you know, w- what life is supposed to be about, what, you know, how they can really explore their life and have a great life. Like them having a good life matters like more than like status and all this kind of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I think they still like money.
Mhm.
But um it's not all about the money, which is
Right.
something that we're going to kind of explore in the next segment. But I agree with you, Sheila. I think that um uh I'm happy to see that people of all ages are looking at their lives more holistically,
Mhm.
and especially in that video, since COVID, right?
Right.
COVID really changed a lot of dynamics around what how people think about this. I mean, they got a lot of us, you and I both have been working from home for a long time. But
Mhm.
there's other people that got a taste of that.
Right.
And they're like, wait a minute. I can work from home. I can get all this stuff done before noon and have
Right.
the rest of the day, to myself, or just have some
Right.
meetings
Right. Yeah, and be more productive.
and be more productive,
Mhm.
and spend time with my family, take a walk, have,
Right.
and people actually, their lifestyles went up. Now, other people, I guess, to a certain degree, who like to connect with people, there was some people who didn't like it all that much. And we kind of talked about that on another show. But still, even those people, their eyes kind of got open to what the possibilities were
Right.
around having all of these different things available to them in terms of them exploring all of who they are. Listen, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about, professional growth and climbing the corporate ladder, but give you some facts and some statistics around, you know, this idea that it's not all about the money for people nowadays. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey.
as a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life.
Absolutely. We hope you go check out our free courses on Aspire Academy. It's absolutely free to join. You can go to soulivity.com, aspire-soulivity for more information. And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity, talking about professional growth and climbing the ladder and all that kind of stuff. And I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Sheila Applegate. This is Brian Westley Johnson. Sheila, did you know that in a recent Washington ISOS poll, 45% of American workers rank pay as the most important factor in their job? And while the rest chose other factors such as having a good boss, being able to work from home, health and retirement benefits, or whether their work helps society. So pay is important, and it's like very important, but there's all these other factors as well. They said professional growth and financial growth aren't often the same thing, says David J. Smith of DC area career coach. A lot of people want to feel like their work has meaning and purpose. So it goes back to that idea of, we want more money. And a lot of times we want more money to support our personal growth and all the other things, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think that in the past, first of all, I think that capitalism wasn't so far on steroids back then. So, having a decent job and making money to support your family, do things, that you enjoy and feel safe in your future was kind of the goal. But people were being treated better in the workforce. They were being appreciated more. And all of those things have changed. So now I think people are really shifting into that space of saying, like, what else is there? Because money at a job doesn't ensure us a good future anymore, right? Like, they're not able to,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, yeah. So I think it's really exciting. And like I said, going back to Gen Z, my kids are both focused on what they can do for, that's the most important thing. Like, do they feel like they're serving the world?
Well, yeah. One aspect of this that that this beautiful article in the Washington Post talks about is the fact that we're letting only our jobs define us. And they talk about it's common for people to view their career as an essential part of their identity. He said, after all, the first question we ask when meeting a new person is, what do they do for a living?
Right.
Especially here in Washington, D.C., that is so true. I mean, it's, what do you do for a living? Who do you know? And all these other things. It's not, things like, what do you do when you're not working? Right.
Right. What is your
Or
favorite thing to do?
what's your favorite thing to do? That kind of thing. And I think that, like this article talks about, it said investing too much of your identity in your job can be problematic. You know,
Mhm.
this person said, the Mackie, who's this this counselor, says um, that sometimes she tells clients to think of it as like financial planning, where diversification is smart. If your
Mhm.
social, emotional, financial, and even spiritual growth is tied up with your professional growth, that's actually a risk, particularly if you lose your job or no longer find fulfillment in it, right?
Well, I had to laugh because, mine basically is tied up in that. As a spiritual mentor and emotional support system, it's very much tied up, and it was very risky, so I have to agree with that, but
Yeah, I mean, how many people? I mean, I remember in like in Detroit, where I'm from, and you had people that I knew, like families that I was growing up with around the neighborhood, where people had really good jobs, making a substantial amount of money, working for the auto industry, and they
Mhm,
and people were able to like pay for their kids to go to college, and buy a nice home and buy a nice car and all that kind of thing. But when there will be an economic downturn, a lot of those people will be laid off.
right.
And some of those people would go into, depression because of it,
Mhm,
because their whole world was defined by them making that kind of money from that job.
right.
Now, a limited few found other things that they could do, and found out that, wow, I have other skills, I have other passions, and so I'm going to pursue that. But again, throwing it all into one basket is really, really. I mean, if something happens, you're just devastated, right?
Mhm,
Now I know in like Sheila, what you do now, it's diverse.
right. It
It's
is diverse, and
diverse.
I have control over it, right? So,
Exactly.
that's different than giving my power over. I think that companies were more, like I said, committed to the people in the past. So even though it was risky, um, it was different than it is now because
Hmm.
the trend that's happening is that a lot of companies aren't putting the energy into supporting their employees.
Hmm.
They're just, and in fact, they're not encouraging growth up the ladder or long-term staying.
Hmm.
I know of companies that are just laying a bunch of people off and hiring people at a cheaper rate. And it just isn't the same mentality that I think we used to have. So
Hmm.
people have to adjust.
I completely, completely, completely agree. This is a great topic.
It is.
Again, this is something that I don't think we talk a lot about. I think that people define, again, it goes with something we're going to be talking about. I think people define themselves by something that was going on in, uh, the first generation, right? Or
Hmm.
the whatever. Can't remember, what is it called? The not the Great Generation, during World War II, right?
I
Where,
think it might be the Great Generation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and where it's defined by you being at a job for 30 years and then retiring, and that
Right.
you should be proud of that. And that we
Right.
don't do something like, a check-in, or that kind of thing of where we are, right? Are we really happy? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in our next segment, when we come back with more of This Morning with Soulivity in just a second.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, and that's today.
Yeah.
Um,
Busy day.
yeah, it's a busy day. Today at noon, you can catch Consciously Awesome Living, where Sheila's going to be talking about Imagination. We put the link in the chat so you can bookmark that and or even share it out to folks so they can all take part of that wonderful show. We're talking about professional growth and climbing the ladder. And Sheila, do you still do self assessments of like where you're going with in your career and stuff like that? Do you still do it?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
laughing because I kind of not like, oh, this is my time to do a self-assessment. They just sort of come up for me, right?
Right.
And I am just completing one and feeling more direction right now. So that's awesome. That's
Wow.
why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I do too. We had a Soulivity collaborators meeting yesterday, and I was sharing with all of you about what's going on with the platform. All of you out there are going to have to just wait and see what happens. But that was part of a self-assessment, right?
Right.
Like, where am I? Am I going in the direction that I want to go in? Is there a diversity of things that are part of this, right? Like, am I throwing everything into one basket and just, setting myself up for a growth opportunity?
We love growth.
We love growth, right? Oh man. So one idea, everyone, is to make a habit, and this again, it comes out of this great article from Washington Post about making a habit of doing career checkups, right? Where, um, it says Herzog, who's another person that's part of this article, encourages her millennial clients to take a work-life temperature check once a year. She said, just do some short assessment of yourself, she said. How do I feel about my work right now? Where are my 10 and 20-year goals? Writing down 5 things you'd like to change about your life. That sort of thing can be really helpful. And it says in exercises like that, it can be hard for people to visualize what an ideal job actually looks like. And then for Johnson, the person we were talking about before, she says has found that the right job often provides 3 things: social connection, intellectual stimulation, and the sense you're working on something bigger than yourself. And what does that sound like? It sounds like passion, purpose, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think it always comes back to that. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
When did you know that you wanted to change direction, Sheila? I mean, it's early on, but
and like I've said, I've changed directions in some ways throughout it,
yeah.
because I'm growing and the more I learn, the more I want to do. So back when I was a clinical therapist, I was also beginning the work as a spiritual reader and teacher and healer. And so as a therapist, I realized I'm sitting on my hands in this job because I can help the people figure out what's going on and we can talk about it. But if I was not restricted to this job, I could use healing energy. I could use spiritual support. I could do all these other things for people. And there are things that not everybody can do. Not that everyone can do therapy, but it was a smaller group of people that were doing that work, especially then. And so I felt like that's where my purpose would be and that would support me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you feel like was there any kind of do you find that when you make these directional changes that there's a check-in where you feel some level of discomfort?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I'm thinking of another one which had to do with finances, but a few years into it, I was burnt out. I don't know how many years into it, but
Wow.
I was burnt out and
Wow.
I was doing all this work and I was just making it or barely making it, not sure each month if I was going to make it. And someone said to me, double your prices. And I was like, what? She's
Well,
like,
there
double
you
your
go.
prices. If you keep going as you are, you're not going to keep doing this work. And then
Right.
everybody loses. If you double your prices, you may lose half the people, but you'll be using half the time, and you can use that other half of time to take care of yourself or to do something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the big turning points for me. If not, I probably would have gone back to the mainstream work world.
And so I guess you doubled your prices and
I
clients
doubled
came.
my prices, and I lost some people for a while, but I opened up to more. Like, I don't, it was almost seamless. Like, wow, you know.
I almost want to explore this. Let's explore that a little bit, because I think that that's also part of professional growth, but it's really tied to personal growth in terms of understanding and having an awareness of your own self-worth,
Mhm.
because I think that that's wrapped in here as well, right? Where um if we're not moving in a direction where we're not feeling worthy,
Right.
right? We will always undercut ourselves and find ourselves in a position and in a job that we are completely miserable
Mhm.
at, right?
Right.
Even if we could be happy in it, we don't allow ourselves to be happy.
Right. Because we don't feel worthy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And so that's part of this self-assessment as well, right?
Right. Yeah, and it was also going into it, because that was starting my own business, but it would be the same if you take a job
Right.
at a certain salary. Going into it, I didn't really calculate how much work was behind the scenes, right? So I
Right.
only get paid when somebody was in my room with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything else, to get clients to do the book work, all the other things and the expenses of it weren't calculated in. So you learn too. So if you were entering a job and it seemed worth it in the beginning, and then you realize you're getting more work and now you have to speak up for yourself, right? Like,
Right. Absolutely. 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 Because I think everybody wants to be validated in some way, and it has to start with um you being able to, at least in some way, shape, or form, validate yourself.
mhm, right.
And so, I would highly encourage everyone out there that is part of this journey to start just asking yourself some simple questions. Go online, do a Google search, and on, like, professional assessments of yourself or whatever. And just, I guess the first question, Sheila, will probably just be, am I happy? Right? Am I happy at this job?
Right.
Beyond, well, not even beyond, because I was going to say beyond getting up in the morning and that kind of thing, because that's part of it too, right?
Mhm,
When you get out of bed, do you feel like, oh my God, I got to go back to this job again,
right.
right? Or
Right.
is it I got a challenging day, but I'm happy to be there?
Right. Yeah, that's a big difference. And some days you're gonna have that dread no matter how much you love your job. But if it's on a
Right.
regular basis, or you're starting to think Sunday morning, you're like, "Oh no, Monday's tomorrow," then it's time to make it an assessment, right?
You're like, oh my goodness. I
Mm,
remember, really quickly before we go to break here, I remember when, I think one of the most painful um, uh, decisions I had to make was when I lived in Houston for 8 years, and I came to the realization that, though I have lovely family and friends that live there, and I still try to connect with them to this day, that my purpose for being there was to define that I wanted more, in
mm,
terms of my
mhm,
own life, and that I was miserable there professionally.
right. And you
And,
realize it's not worth it.
and yeah, and so I had to open the door to other possibilities, um, outside of Houston. And so I was able to move to DC, and that's a whole nother story that I'll save
Mhm.
for another day. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
And you can catch another great episode of the Steps to Happiness on this Thursday, where Teresa is going to have a special guest, Robert Mack, who's been seen and endorsed by Oprah, Vanessa Williams, Lisa Nichols. He's a Ivy League educated person, a positive psychology expert, celebrity happiness coach. He's just an all-around great guy. So make sure you watch that on Thursday. You don't want to miss that show as well. Sheila, you've had this concept around what's called quiet quitting. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, and it's not really my concept, it's what's out there, but I do want to talk about that because as we were going to break, I started thinking about how, we're here talking, we're both in jobs that we chose, that we love, that we took the risk already, but there's probably a lot of you out there listening that are maybe on your way to a job that you don't love. And it's true that people can feel exhausted. And if you're really in a position where you feel stuck, it's not going to be easy to say, oh, let me take an assessment and get a new job. That's not really an easy step.
Right.
So we have this judgment going around about the younger generation that they're quiet quitting, and quiet quitting means that they're only doing what they're getting paid for.
Right.
And imagine that. Now, whose problem is that? Is that the younger generation employee, or is it the employer who is abusing them? So maybe quiet quit, like that's a term that's supposed to make that bad, but do what you're paid for and let your employee notice that, your employer notice it, and put your time into other things until you find that passion. Because if you're feeling stuck, you might not know what passion you have. So, that's a good step, I think. Don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny, it's out of the mouth of babes, right? I know even my son, I would hear him talk about, I don't really want to do that kind of stuff, right? And we would say, well, it's money, it's a paycheck, right? And there's something deep about having a boundary around, listen, I understand that I have to make money and I have to work and all that kind of thing, but can I put a fine line around like that I'm going to do something that I enjoy, even if it's just stepping stone to the next thing, instead
Right.
of just doing something I hate and not really vested in, that kind of thing. So great. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Sheila, have you had, I know that there's this connection between personal and professional growth. That's why, like, even on Soulivity.com, we have both of those things tied together, right? When you are speaking to people that you're kind of mentoring on being like consciously awesome, for instance, right? Or creating the fertile ground at which they can start to create that life for themselves. They can start sowing those seeds and reaping the benefits of that environment. What's kind of like some things that you suggest to them to help them move it into a space where they can have professional growth that makes them happy and fulfilled?
Right. A lot of times when people come, they're talking about their professional growth, but really what we need to do is go in and find yourself within, right? It's
Mm,
about reconnecting your own self to the inner joy. It's about opening your imagination so you can see beyond the box that you're in, and you can think about possibilities so you can let them in. And then through meditation and connection, you're raising your frequency or your vibration, which will
mm.
attract new possibilities and open doors for you. So, sometimes we try to go at this from the bottom ladder, the bottom
R-
rung of a ladder, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
how do I fix the top rung when I'm here? But if you go inward and you find yourself as that whole ladder, then you can move up and down and into the space that is correct for you.
Yeah, which is like the squiggly, right? You're
The
taking this little
squiggly. All right.
squiggly
Yeah.
squiggly
Squiggly
pattern down,
line.
right? I love that. I mean, I think just defining our life as this straight line that we have to walk is so limiting
Hmm.
because that's not reality, right?
Right.
We meet different people, there's different situations that come into our life that we have to navigate. Different relationships that may change the dynamic of who we are, or what we come into awareness about, and then we have to make a shift,
Right.
and it's okay to make that shift, right?
Hmm.
Again, one of the trends that I have seen in recent years is the largest portion of people that stay at a job in terms of time is 3 to 7 years.
Right.
That's
Which
way different
than
than
a life. Yeah.
yeah, than when you and I were younger. I mean, it was much greater.
3 was the longest I ever stayed in a job.
On average,
Always
girl.
getting something better.
Oh,
It's a
see,
big difference.
you were so ahead of the game. See there, that's why I love you. Just so ahead of the game. But you know what I mean? I mean, like,
I do know what you mean.
y-
And
I'm
also, I'm thinking about the ladder and the assembly line. Like, we're talking about a model that was built in the Industrial Revolution where
correct.
we were small
Right,
as far as our communities. We didn't travel, we didn't have the internet. We had a purpose. The purpose was building this world up as with all this new technology.
right.
We're about to walk into AI, and that changes a whole new level. And I think that we're starting to make those changes now to be more squiggly and see what we want to do in this new space.
Right, 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 right. I mean, I love that. I love that. Listen, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts from both of us about this important topic of, like, making your professional growth about having passion and purpose, which is what Soulivity is
Mhm.
all about. So we'll be right back in just a little bit.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. And we're going to go to some final thoughts. Sheila?
I'm just thinking about this whole squiggly line that we drew today. And,
Yeah.
I think that it is important to know yourself and give yourself freedom to explore, because we have more than one passion. We have more than one skill and more than one thing to offer to the world. And wherever you are in your journey, of your career or your work, be present in that space while opening yourself up to exploring new possibilities that bring you passion.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Dang.
You're
um,
next.
I know, right? Right. Ditto. No. I'm going to paraphrase from the description of the video that we started from the beginning with Sarah Ellis and Helen Tupper talking about the best career path isn't always a straight line. And it says conventional wisdom frames the ideal career path as a linear one, a ladder to be climbed with a single minded focus to get to the top. But we invite you to replace this outdated and limiting model with the squiggly careers, dynamic, open ended growth path, tailor made for your individual needs, talents, and ambitions. It's a radical rethink for anyone who feels restricted and defined by the limits of the corporate ladder. So be unlimited, y'all. Be
There you go.
unlimited. Be
Yeah.
bold, be courageous, and you will not regret it in the end. That's mine.
Nice.
Dun, 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 dun. Another great show today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun topic.
Yeah. You ready for some shameless plugs?
Sure.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
So where are we going first? Maybe Soul Connections.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So, we've talked about exploring your passion and where you want to go next on your squiggly line. A soul connection session is a wonderful way to do that. And that is a one-on-one session with me to help you connect to your soul, explore your passions, and get a vision of what's next. We have a code of SOUL23 to get $44 off your first session because you're a Soulivity listener.
Woohoo! I love it. I love it. I love it. I like these soul connections. It's like, again, it goes to what we were talking about today, right? Where
Mhm.
to navigate something like this, you really need to be aware of what's going on inside of you. So this is another great way of doing that. So thank you for that, Sheila. Also, you've got there's a new exciting book that's out. I'm so
Yes.
happy about you guys. So congratulations
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Energy Healers Oracle Tools for Total Transformation, right? And that's what we're talking about today.
Mhm.
This book came out last week, and I am a co-author of the book, and it is already an international best-selling book in multiple
Yoo-hoo.
countries. So if you're looking at healing energy for yourself and your own personal growth, or if that's something that you're sparked to explore for a career, this gives you 20 different modalities to learn about and explore. And it's with healers from around the world.
I love it. 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 I'm going to plug something today, which I know that I need to be plugging more because it's
Yeah.
absolutely free to join, and that's our Aspire Academy.
Yeah.
I think everybody, listen. This is something. This has been a labor of love for me for a long time, and we built it specifically for you to help first for you to connect with people that are like-minded, where it's a safe space for you to kind of learn and grow. And there's all kinds of great courses in there. We're doing things with Dr. Mark Mancola, who's been teaching Eastern philosophies of alternate medicine and healing techniques for 40 years. Sheila, you're doing things in
Mhm.
the portal with Matrix of Illumination and other workshops. Teresa's got some things going on. It's absolutely free to join, and you can go in there and you can wander around and you know you know take some free courses. And the free courses from all of the Soulivity hosts, from D'Angelo Thompson to you, Sheila, to Teresa, even myself, because there's a course in there that I do on the road less travel, finding out what your passion is. So please go to soulivity.com now and go to Aspire Academy. There's a link right at the top of the page for you to learn about Aspire Academy and joining up and, growing and aspiring. That's what it's all about.
Nice.
And so with that, I'm just going to say thanks again, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you, listeners.
For being here. Listen, of course, we're on social media, but you can also sign up for our mailing list by visiting the This Morning Soulivity site at soulivity.com/this morning. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as well. You really want to follow us on YouTube because you'll get alerts when we go live. And you can also get access to exclusive content that's going to be released in the near future.
Nice.
Giveaways. In fact, we've got some giveaways we're going to be announcing from our show last week where people have gotten the book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got to do that too. Anything else, Sheila, that you're thinking of?
I think that's for today, but I will be here tomorrow.
Yeah. And we'll be talking, I think, what's tomorrow's show about? Gotta remember what.
We are going to explore Dr. Chanel's book.
That's
Coming
right.
Back to Yourself.
That's
I'm
right.
really excited about that.
Yeah. We just love her. She is so powerful, so dynamic, and I can't wait to dive deep into her book. Something that we should have done a while ago. But we're going to do it tomorrow. And so we want you to join us in discovering all the great things that are within Dr. Chanel de Guzman's book tomorrow. So with that, listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thanks for joining us for another great episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast on our social media platforms and on soulivity.com. Or you can listen to us Thursdays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific time on KMET 1490 AM radio for all of you on the West Coast. Make sure that you get the KMET app so you can be notified when we go live there as well. Listen, until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose and create a life full of high quality living. Remember, this show is really about, making a change in your own professional life to make it a better and a best life. So that's what we want for you. And so come back tomorrow for another great episode, and we'll see you then. So bye for now.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.